Can we at least agree on something? If somebody is trans and they transition, are they harming someone? No. If they are honest about their experience with transitioning and why they did, are they harming someone? No. If a child finds out that trans people exist in the world, does that harm somebody? No. All right, guys. Let's talk about this recent thing. So if you know Matt Walsh, you know that he has a tendency to be a little underhanded with the way that he handles things. A prime example of this is when he did his totally not a ripoff of the movie Tusk for a book, and then said that he was the #1 LGBTQ author after inflating his own numbers. So we already know the kinds of techniques that Matt Walsh does to try to get himself notoriety. So let's go ahead and talk about the most recent thing. But first, we need to get into the fan art section. This one is from Code Neo. They said they got a new fan art. Suris, but turned into a battleship for an 8-bit NES game. I'm going to be honest. It also looks like a bat. I read it as bat-ol ship. Maybe I just need to play more 8-bit NES games. But it looks like it could also be a very convincing bat. But thank you very much for that. The next one we have here is from Yaro Giovanni. Said, I tried practicing my drawing by drawing Suris fan art. Sorry, it's not the best in the world, but I am still learning. Any fan art is the best in the world. If anybody who drops fan art on any YouTuber, VTuber, etc., your art is the best in the world because you're throwing it at somebody else, and it's amazing. And then Liza drops in a motherfuck. Liza the Elven Metroid. For 50,001 channel points, you absolute mad person, unless somebody in the chat decides to put up a shield like a good Samaritan. Is somebody gonna save my ass? Anybody? No, but oh, okay. Okay, fine. Looks like I'm stuck. Nope, there's no shields can stop it because apparently Ice Blade Rage is forcing it to. God damn it. Fuck all of you. Every single one of you. I don't hate chat, but I kind of do sometimes. Jesus fucking Christ. Liza the Elven Metroid, thank you for dropping 50,001 channel points for an oh woo. And Ice Blade Rage, you too. You fucking asshole for oh woo. That one was not me. That was Raz. The next thing is Sarah Chikorita, thank you for redeeming your points for an Ara. You fucking monster. Also, yeah, it doesn't count if it's Raz. You're right. Ice Blade Rage. All of my rage is aimed directly at you. Oh, well. I will end you. Anyways, the next bit of fan art that we have to get into is this one right here from Kidderdoodle. They said, I'm surprised I actually finished this. It is an update on the one celebrating me getting partner here on Twitch. So thank you very much for that one, Kidderdoodle. Featherbow over Monica, thank you very much for redeeming your points for an owl. All right. So, as always, if you want your fan art to be shown in a future episode, best way to do so is to drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. With that said, let's go ahead and take a look at what we need to talk about here. Who here knows about the Gender Unity Project? Anyone? Here. We'll go ahead and pull it up. They had a Twitter, kind of, sort of, but they don't actually have it here. You see, I tried to look at the Gender Unity Project Twitter, but this is what I got, because there's really nothing here anymore. There was at one point, but it's out now, and I wonder why. Because, I mean, with a name like Gender Unity Project, I mean, this sounds fine, right? This sounds like it's just perfectly normal. Well, we have a story to tell you, and it's not my story. This is a story from Eli Ehrlich. This comes over on Twitter with an entire tale of what the Gender Unity Project is and how this ended up coming to involve them. So, let's go ahead and hop down this rabbit hole and let's see what we get here. So, from the tweet, so Matt Walsh blog's crew is trying to trick trans people into joining a fake documentary. His producer set up a whole front organization, the Gender Unity Project, and tried to recruit me into his next anti-trans documentary. Here's the wild story of how it went down. So this is already interesting. You'd think that Matt Walsh could just ask people for interviews. He has the notoriety. Or does he recognize that when it comes to anything progressive in any variety, he is kind of poison? Let's go ahead and read further. It started with an email from the Gender Unity Project a couple weeks ago. They claimed they were doing a film on the trans community and gave me names of well-known trans individuals and surgeons they had interviewed. It all seemed normal at first. Let's go ahead and read what's actually here. So, submitted information, comment, hello, my name is McKenna. I am the associate producer for an upcoming independent documentary on the topic of gender for Gender Unity Project. We are making a film exploring the real lives of people in the LGBTQIA plus communities and to shed some light on the topics of gender identity and gender fluidity in a way that will capture the attention of all Americans and be educational. I am reaching out to you to see if you would be interested in being interviewed for the film. If so, do you have any availability in the next couple weeks to sit down for about a half hour for the interview? Thank you so much, and I look forward to hearing from you. So that sounds like a pretty bog standard email, right? Like, this is a pretty normal, hey, let's sit down and talk type of email. Continuing on, I even talked to the producer on the phone beforehand. She sounded like a well-meaning cis film graduate who was just curious about the trans community. She claimed the documentary was self-funded. I was suspicious because she had finished college recently, but figured she was just rich. I mean, who has that kind of money? Later, she told me that the person they were interviewing in Chicago suddenly canceled. This happens, but it's still sus. So let's go ahead and talk about this a little bit for just a sec. So when something's self-funded, that usually means that there's somebody involved in the project is forwarding all the cash for it, which is different than saying, oh, well, this will all be made in-house. If you have something made in-house, then you go, oh, well, like, I'm the editor, so I don't have to pay an editor. I'm the interviewer, so I don't have to pay an interviewer. I'm the, and that's kind of the shtick there. If you are self-funded, the feeling that you get, especially in the film industry, is, oh, this is a standard project, but it just has funding internally. Whereas if you say, oh, this is my personal project, we don't have to have conversations about the funding anymore because I know that you're going to be building this on Adobe Premiere in your basement. I get it. So there's why there's a bit of confusion there. But continuing on, then she offered to fly me to Arizona. Again, the surgeon they were interviewing wasn't responded to them. Then finally, Nashville, where Matt Walsh lives. They sent me a release form this morning, which strangely didn't have the name of the company on it. So I looked up the Gender Unity Project. It used a registered agent to shield its owners. It's dubious, but sometimes registered agents simply make it easier to incorporate. So remember, if we just do a very quick look up here, Gender Unity Project, and we see what comes up, we don't get the Gender Unity Project website. We get stuff like this. Are anti-trans activists posing as documentary film members to dupe trans people? That's what we get as the very first search result. We get the Twitter from the Gender Unity Project. You know, the suspended Twitter. Not a whole lot of avenues for us to get any information on the credentials of your organization. Really awkward. But let's continue the actual bit here. So this is where we actually see articles of organization for an LLC for the Gender Unity Project. If you don't know, LLCs are remarkably easy to file. A lot of YouTubers file their own LLCs, limited liability corporations, because of that. So then they looked up McKenna Lynn. Her name didn't show up anywhere. After some heavy searching, I realized that she used her middle name in our emails. I found the IMDb page of her real name, McKenna Waters. Interesting. So McKenna Waters, writer, producer, additional crew for Big Brother as additional crew, a writer for Red Clover and a couple of other films, second unit director for Limbo. Feels kind of strange. There's a anti-government here, super pro-religion here. Not really certain how to feel about this right here, but let's go ahead and continue. It turns out she's actually Matt Walsh's producer. That's not a red flag, that's a gun to your face. She wasn't just a crew member for his show, she worked on over 200 episodes. They finally found her Twitter, which features videos of Matt Walsh and Shapiro doing their usual BS. So, of course, we have the Twitter, but the account no longer exists. Really weird how all of these threads leading to one person on Matt Walsh's pet project all got burned as soon as they were exposed. Really strange. Not sure why every single thread leading people to you would have to get burned. Feels really weird, but, you know, stranger things have happened. But we continue on. I decided to look closer to the Gender Unity Project after searching its state's registration number. I learned it was registered to Justin Folk, a far-right documentarian who works for Matt Walsh and PragerU. And he actually has his information here, but oh no, his tweets are protected. He is the director of No Safe Spaces, Dennis Prager's little documentary self-masturbatory film, and Right Makes Might. Boy, howdy. I wonder what kind of strange biases we might expect from somebody who worked on such projects. But let's continue. Maybe all of this is maybe they had the best of intentions in mind. Who knows? Let's find out. This year, I will be waging an all-out assault on gender ideology. We have been working on something that will make the Dr. Phil episode seem tame and boring by comparison. I can't say anything else about it, but it will change the conversation. We can win this battle. This is things that you know, dude likes. Now, likes, retweets, I understand these things are not always endorsements, but then we've got like ivermectin conspiracy theory peddling down here as well. Like always with the horse-based. But let's go ahead and continue. What more can we find here? This year, Matt Walsh declared assault on gender ideology. This is only the tip of the iceberg. Who knows how far he and his followers will go to attack, demean, and dehumanize trans people. So if you are contacted by these slimy assholes, don't respond. The last thing we need right now is another gotcha anti-trans documentary. Stay alert and take any media personalities with a grain of salt. And they say we're the ones tricking people. Your move, Matt Walsh. Directly linking to Matt. This was all yesterday. I wonder if there's a response here from Matt himself. Anything? I see no responses from Matt Walsh. Anything on his actual Twitter? Take a look here. A retweet of Candace Owens, of course. Let's see. The West is collapsing and TikTok is documenting it. Oh, it's just showing somebody's transition? Is this really this? Matt Walsh retweets this as the West is collapsing. Our story.
7 years, and I broke up recently. He told me he was a trans woman named Riley O'Reilly, and I left John and tried to make it work with Riley, but sadly we had to end things so she could live her new life. The house felt so empty, and I wanted to fill the void, but I felt like it was too soon to deal with humans, so I got a doll, and just her presence comforts me. Now Riley comes over and we all hang out and watch TV, and Riley shoots us, and it's helping us heal.
Okay. People have stranger coping mechanisms. Okay, so here's the thing. Is it weird? Sure, why not? Does it mean that the West is entirely collapsing? No, not really. If real, I've seen stranger coping mechanisms. I don't care. This is not indicative of anything. This is literally anecdotal evidence. But evidence of what? Evidence that a handful of people are weirder than you? Okay, cool. Doll's a little odd, but yeah, they do them. I just don't see why I should care. They can do what they want to do. But let's go ahead and see what else we got here on Matt Walsh's vlosh. Star Power. Matt Walsh should be targeted by street transvestite active revolutionaries at upcoming campus talk. Of course. A retweet of Abigail Shrier, the person who goes on to PragerU and talks about how bad trans people are. Abigail is also the person who wrote, Irreparable Damage? That terribly propagandic book. And he's just talking about trans activists. He's just mad at trans people. Half of his fucking Twitter is just, I don't like trans people. That's half of his Twitter right there. No responses to the actual like situation at hand. No, I'd imagine maybe he'll say something on YouTube, maybe. But the fact that the Gender Unity Project gets its account suspended, the fact that Matt Walsh gets this obsessive over trans people is insane to me. What is there to be gained here? Like, at the end of the day, can we at least agree on something? If somebody is trans and they transition, are they harming someone? No. If they are honest about their experience with transitioning and why they did, are they harming someone? No. If a child finds out that trans people exist in the world, does that harm somebody? No. If a child talks with a trans person, is somebody harmed? No. Just like nobody's harmed when a child talks to a gay person, or a child isn't harmed when somebody talks to a black person, and every single targeted group that has had the shit end of the stick here in the States at one point or another. But this is always how it ends up being. It started with, hey, don't talk to those black people. They are whatever negative derogatory thing you wanted plantation owners to say at that time. And then, as society changed and people fought for their rights, it became, don't talk to those gay people. They might indoctrinate you into becoming gay. But then, as gay people got their rights and started fighting for their rights more, now trans people. There's the target is always moved. It's whatever the visible but easy to target minority group is. It doesn't matter who it is. It always will be. There always will be one. 20 years from now, when trans people are as accepted in society as gay people are, which, again, there's still a lot of work to go there as well, there's going to be another group of people that are targeted en masse. Because there always will be. For some reason, Matt Walsh is in the camp of people who desperately require enemies. And I simply don't understand that mentality. I'd like to live in a world where I have no enemies. Also, Chrysio Preston, thank you very much for the hydrate. I'd like to live in a world where I have no enemies. I'd like to live in a world where there is nobody who I deem as my other. But yet somehow there's this obsession with sticking in that kind of world. I don't want to be in that type of polarized world. I don't think there's any benefit to it. Now, there's benefit for Matt Walsh as an individual, because as an individual, he stands to make a lot of money off of stuff like this. Literally making a quote, self-funded documentary for the purpose of this. You stand to make a lot of money and get a lot of notoriety doing stunts like this. That, to me, is not worth the suffering of others. But that's my take. And maybe I'm wrong. But for me, I'd rather live in a world without enemies. It's not hard to just accept that the people around you are also people and are also not harming others. Unless you can demonstrate direct harm happening as a result of people existing within a group, which is demonstrable with things like Nazis, for instance, then I'm going to have to continue to wonder why the fuck you do what you do. That said, I want to know your thoughts in the comment section below if you're watching over on YouTube. If you enjoy any of this content, let me know by hitting the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and if you want to support the channel and what I do, in the description or down below the video, there are links to Patreon and also affiliate links and merch links. A bunch of ways that you can support the channel. With that said, I guess we will potentially update based on what goes on with Matt Walsh. As always, everyone, instant end of video tagline here.